It's just that I like the feeling of thick sausage. 10 inches in old money. Brace myself for this. In it goes.
Hi there, good evening. Thank you, Gray. Thank you for claiming your daily sausage roll, Gray. 10 inches in old money. But yeah, hello, Gray. I'm not muted. I'm not muted, Gray. Don't be so mean. I have to do my muted check when I first start, because otherwise I will be muted. So don't be mean. I'm going to punish people if they say that I'm muted when I'm not. We're going to start doing that. But hello, my lovely. I know you're going to bed, so don't hang around for me if you're feeling sleepy. Punish you, Gray, yes. It's too hot to be hugging Blanche. Got hug Blanche. Just a little bit of anxiety, some spankings. Okay, Gray. Yeah, I hope your week's been good, Gray. And anybody else? My cup is cute. This cup is Annie Crevice merch. Let's open up that so I can actually see what I'm doing. There we go. Hey, good girls drink water. It's just backwards. I've been sick and mostly coughing. I'm sorry, Gray. Yeah. I'm sorry, Gray. I'm sorry you've been poorly. I'm worried about my city because my computer sounds like a jet engine. So I'm worried that we're getting to the point where I can't build any more on stream because it takes too much to process the city and the stream at the same time. But we'll crack on. If the music goes weird at any point, it's because it's having trouble encoding the video. Which is usually the clue. But yeah, I've got this section over here that I've been working on. Over here, this empty area, which I used to have houses in it, but I emptied it out off during the week because I want to build it up more like this stuff. But I'm worried that if I work in this area, it's going to kill my computer. Plus, I want to wait for an update that we've got coming in the game on the 11th. So what I'm thinking is we come over this side into this area, which is called Beach Acres. And we just put in some more little suburban houses and stuff. And try not to break my computer. But yes, great. I'm glad you popped in, Gray. But if you do need to go sleepies, don't let me keep you. But also you can hang around. You wait till Dylan ends. That's cute too. You can do that as well. Not that you need my permission. You're going shopping tomorrow. Ooh, what kind of shopping, Gray? With your parents. That's cute. Costco shopping. That's exciting. Get yourself a hot dog. Or whatever it is that people eat at Costco. Just put in some little coldy sakinas. Go for the pizza. Cute. My week has been fine. It's been very quiet because everybody I work with has been on holiday. Because the schools have been on half term. So it's been very quiet, but that's kind of meant that it's dragged a bit. Because I haven't had enough to distract me. Used to love getting the chicken burgers, they don't do them anymore. Boo. That's hateful. I don't want this bit of road here to have housing on it, I don't think. So we're going to turn this into a little highway like that. That's no good, Gray. But pizza's good, we like pizza. It's very warm here as well. That's probably why my computer's not as happy, because it's very warm right now. It's very sunny outside, as you can tell by the window. It's very sunny, because that's even with the blind down. Playing Fortnite before with Annie was cute, even though she couldn't hear me because my mic was set up wrong, which was stressing me out in case it was gonna screw stream up. Just turns out it was just Discord being silly. Been playing Fortnite recently, just trying to get into playing more games that are kind of cooperative and friendly, and everybody else seems to play rather than playing the lonely games like City Skylines. Which is fun, but it can be a little bit lonely sometimes. Equally, you can spend too much time playing it on your own. Try to get these so that they are creating little tiny zones like we've got on the other parts where we've done this. It's very British in style. I will leave that empty for some commercial. Potentially put in a little cul-de-sac on the back here. Like that. And then that can possibly be commercial as well, so we'll put in some more cul-de-sacs here. I'm going to click off the roads in a second just to see how it's looking. I don't want to put too many, what would we call them, branches off of each of these. 2 or 3 is the maximum. Yeah, so we can see we're filling in all these little cells with extra little roads to break them down. I also don't like making 4-way junctions. And I like to at most make just the little T junctions. I love this song too, Grey. It's really pretty. I'm not pretty, but thank you. You little charmer. You can stay though. I'm not, but thank you. Yeah, muted is a little bit of a traumatic thing for me. Hey up, Grey Senpai, you're a real midnight grave on cheesy chips. You are, Grey. That is true. Put some gravy on grey. I also love gravy. I recommend cheesy chips. Right up your alley. Get some grated cheese then, Gray, and sprinkle it on your chips with some gravy, and it'll be delicious. I wholly recommend. Basically poutine. Pretty much the same concept. Having never had poutine, I can't necessarily compare them, but I would imagine it's probably very similar. Have I seen the chip shop Diva? Maybe. I'm very bad at remembering things, so find a vid. Feel free to send me a vid. I'm very old, Grey. Got a memory like a sieve. Though I'm not allowed to say I'm old. I have a rule in my head now that I'm not allowed to say I'm old. "21 is not old, that is true." I shall be pressed to know more on the matter, because I will break my rule if I keep talking. But yeah, as you can see, we're just building little kind of little tiny cul-de-sacs that will plop a load of bulbs on at the end. It's a little bit monotonous. You may link. I'm pretty sure you're not going to post anything dodgy, so I will let you off. Let us have a little nosy, and I hope my computer doesn't fall over when I click to open Chrome. Oh, she's cute. She's cute. I think I have seen that before. She's a cutie. Battered chips. That sounds delicious. We get some triple cooked chips occasionally, which are very extravagant. They're incredibly crispy, Grey. They're proper chunky chips, but they're incredibly crispy on the outside. Very decadent. Proper fancy. Right, so we've done all of those. We got a kitty. Hey, Penny. Check what she's doing. She's just being a little sneaky at the minute. It's a kitty. Penny is the chief mischief in the house. You always got to keep a little eye on her to make sure she's not doing anything naughty. What was that thing popping up? Right, so we have these sections here. It's the black and white ones you gotta watch. Always up to mischief. And some big long cul-de-sacs roads just to fill up this area. Anyway, I hope you all listening was good, but night night grey. Night night my lovely. Thank you for being here. Happy sleepy times, Grace and Pie. I don't know why I'm singing at you, but I am. So there we go. If I had a zoning length tool, this would be so much easier. But here, what I want to do is kind of respect these trees in order to give us an interesting shape to our road. So we're going to come around like this and just respect these little bits of tree. Because this is beach acres after all. You can't have the acres of beach without the beach. They're just poking these roads into where the trees are. Because what we'll do anyway is we're going to fill up all the gaps with trees around these in the end anyway. I know some people hate cul-de-sacs, but they are incredibly popular in the UK for these kind of low density housing, because there's so little traffic on these roads anyway that it's not really a problem. And it makes everybody feel a little bit more happy, at least in real life, because you feel like you've got your own little tiny village, goes off the like of the however many, so how many also houses that might be on your little cul-de-sac. It's espresso. looks like he's going to want another little thing in there. So where are we up to, folks? Just this little section left. Maybe this as well here. So we'll spin it round. And we will put in a road to there. And I'm just being really quick and not necessarily deliberate with where I'm putting things. Just in order to try and make it feel a bit more natural and ad hoc, kind of. Because theoretically in real life there would be reasons as to why they would put roads around like this. That would be dictated to by the terrain and stuff, which we don't necessarily have in the map because it's very flat and whatever. Let's put another little cul-de-sac off this road. There we go. One thing I needed to do, which I had forgotten about though, is look to see that extra little bit. So we are going to demolish some of that. And we will extend this. Just to eat up the rest of that. So I'm being a little bit naughty and keying in that extra little bit. We'll follow the road as well, just to make it look the same. And not quite as following a big blob on the map. Right, because we're using this special suburban 2-lane road that I made as well. Using Road Builder, which hasn't got any parking on the side of it, and it's therefore slightly narrower than the main game road. But I felt like it doesn't need quite as much, or it doesn't need the parking on the road because everybody has parking on their driveways. So once we get into these back roads, it's just a little bit smaller, feels a little bit more suburban. These areas where you do end up with parking on the side is because these are the main roads and stuff. Whereas the little cul-de-sacs themselves will have this suburban road. So we can see here, which is a good example of what I've missed. So we just do it like that. End up with a few little bits where the house might be a little bit too far away from the road, but we can just move that closer to get rid of that. But yeah, so they're parking on their driveway, so they don't need to have roadside parking in every single road. And I don't add wider sidewalks just because it makes very large sidewalks, and the amount of road space this takes up is very large. So yeah, that's what I did. But we will now come through and we will pop in 1,000,000 cul-de-sac bulbs. Get a load of free XP. We missed. No, this is where the trees are, isn't it? That's okay. I was thinking we might have missed a section, but we did not. We did it on purpose to keep the trees there. So this is creating little housing plots on the end of each of the bulbs. And then we will have to go around and zone a bunch of 2 unit deep houses, because we're going to build very small houses again. Small family homes rather than big giant ones. Maybe along the main roads we'll have some bigger houses. But yeah, very monotonous, boring job, so it's nice to have this on stream where people can keep me company. Snap it quite like how I would want it to, but that is a little bit short, so we will sneak in a little extension to that. It's very tricky trying to not lose or miss a little nubbin. Hey, Shybart. Can you spot any of them missing? There's one there. Have we got them all, folks? One there. Another one there, 2 there. There she blows. Think we got them all. And Penny wandered off again. I'm not wide awake, Katie. Somebody decided to crash their motorcycle into a lamppost on their way to uni. That was a little bit silly of them. Still got our hearse issues, despite me fiddling with them off stream. Still got them. Got lots of trees. What am I saying? Got lots of people parking. So much that there are now people parking in the overflow, which is lovely. I did this week off stream put in a few extra little car parks because I'm actually impressed by how well these road built car parks work, because people don't queue up for them in the same way that they queue up for actual car parks, because they're treated like on-street parking. People aren't queuing up to get into a parking space. They are basically just much better than using the built-in game car parks. I've changed the built-in in-game car park that was over here into a little made one, because these generate queues. You can see there's a little tiny queue here with people coming to get into this car park, which is already full. But this car park just will never get those kind of queues because it's roadside parking, which is really good. Because like this car park, which is full, doesn't really have anybody queuing to get in, so they just work a ton better. So I would advise never using in-game car parks. But I'm stalling because the next job I've got to do now is put in a load of housing. So we're going to start with the low density waterfront housing, and we're just going to put in some 3 deep houses along this kind of beachfront that we've got. Probably sneak another lot in there, and we're gonna have to think about where we could put a school and stuff in this area. Maybe we, in our heads, we leave a section empty. Perhaps maybe this should be the kind of school section of this end. So we could keep this, that's the wrong button, we could keep this area empty, because I was imagining that could be some shops and that could be a school, but maybe we'll mix that up a bit. And then this end down here, maybe we put in something into this that we've kept empty so far. Maybe that little gap up there by the farm might be good. But we've eaten about half of our low density demand, so we will come back with our normal low density, and we're just going to do 2 deep everywhere that we actually have zoning, because then this is a multi-step process, as anybody who's already watched me do this will know. It is not the quickest way of building a city. So we put in the little 2 houses, and then we come back and put in paths to cut off all the zoning to 2. And then we put all the new zoning, so it pops up with 2, and then we fill the rest of the gaps with trees. And obviously we could come in and we could plop all the houses manually, but I don't want to be doing that. So we're doing the kind of halfway. See, that was wrong. That should be on there. Need to take that zoning off there, don't I? There we go. But this is certainly safer to build on stream because it is not creating quite as much demand and traffic that the computer has to process as building a much larger section. And whilst I was excited for the new DLC, which has now been delayed to Q4, we are still going to get some key walls apparently on the 11th of June. So we will still have something to build into the city, which is nice because this entire city was built for the whole point of being a harbour city. The the Growables mod is a little bit annoying in the fact that you have to demolish buildings by hand if the zoning changes. But it is good in some respects, so we won't moan too much. I just wish you wouldn't get this where you end up with blank cells. I wish that once you zone something, it stopped those. And just said, yes, this person clearly only wanted it to be too deep. Therefore, we won't have the rest of it. And then all those could come back if you dezoned it or something. That would be my preferred way of it working. I know why it does what it does, but I can't think of a situation where it's actually useful to have all that extra zoning in, except for if you were just painting a bunch of stuff without actually caring what you were doing. Not dropped any frames, which is good. I'm just guessing where the zoning's going at this point. See, that one was going the wrong way. Please try again. And I'm zoning all this stuff, and we're still got full low density demand, which is hilarious. I have lowered the taxes in the city, so they were up at 12% or something, and they are now at 6. So we've halved taxes for every single person in the city, which has obviously just created a demand bar that is huge. And we hit 100,000 at the end of stream last time, and we are just rocketing upwards, which is good for the city, but it's bad for my computer because it's a lot more people to process. I'm trying to save towards getting a computer with a bit more power that we can handle having a little bit of a bigger city, or at least handle having a city on stream at the same time without worrying about it falling over. I'm going to get to a certain point with this task and I'm going to save. Need to remember to save because I don't want to lose any of that boring work I just did of drawing all these roads in. You can see the flock of people just driving into the new houses. And the reason I'm keeping these plots small, other than the fact that we can fit more in, and it's a bit more density. Like we can squeeze more houses in turning to each other. Is just the fact that they're not cheaper for people to live in. So people will be a little bit more well off because they're not paying for quite as much housing. We will end up with high rent issues. Where do we guess this is going? That way. Good. That one presumably is going this way. The good thing about working along this way is we're kind of spreading out the people moving in rather than putting them all in one place at a time. Do you think that's going that way? It is. As we can see, we're getting school and elementary and high school issues now because we're putting a load of houses with no schools in the area, which we may have to look at before we finish. Maybe we do the first pass and then we go back, put in some schools and then come back and do the next steps. Just gonna break it up a little bit like that. Not gonna do this road because that's kind of where I'd like to put some shops and stuff. So we'll do everything up to that road. Taking all the zoning that's on it. But we can sneak in these little bits. Ooh, lots of houses. And lots of gaps, which is annoying. It's not a quick job. I think this area is like as big as all that other area that we have built previously, which is kind of hilarious. So it's not a quick job. Got a stat on my view that is completely incorrect, which is kind of hilarious. Right, why do you do that? I don't know why you've built a house that immediately has no working driveway, but okay. We can have houses on this road here because this is just a little back way to the farms. I wonder if we could switch back to using our waterfront housing here. let's go all the way up to this junction. Or maybe we need a little gap for the minute. Like so. And then we switch back to our normal. Presume you go that way. Sometimes it's guessing which way the zoning is going. You can tell by the angle of the cells to the roads in 99% of the cases, but sometimes it's a little bit confusing. See here, I'm assuming they're going onto that road. That is completely incorrect of me. Might let that one off. And we will just go in. Didn't get any houses straight in that immediately, so I was just thinking that maybe we weren't going to get any demand, but we have got a full bar because it never goes down. Where are we up to? We've done all the way along and onto the other side, which is lovely. See, that's not going in because the zoning is on the wrong side. Annoyingly. Where would our shops go up to? We've got this main drag here. Maybe we do this as housing then. Go in this way. And then we pop in all this bit. And we got a little cul-de-sacs in the forest. Folks coming off that little junction now. And we're not adding a ton of population. We're just building kind of like the outskirts, the actual suburbs of the city. Which will add a bus route into the main bus station. People will be able to get to the jobs a bit easier if they're working in the city. Because what this is going to do as well is going to increase our unemployment rate, I imagine. The numbers are all going up and they're getting higher. So people aren't being put off. By anything at the minute. Almost up to 1,000 per hour. Which presumably will drop back down again once we stop constantly zoning stuff. These probably need little bulbs on. Thought I got everything, I clearly didn't. Just need to demolish that. Somebody's cooking chips somewhere. Either that or it's my legs underneath my desk being cooked by the computer. game kind of jumped a little bit. All these little cars moving along the roads where people are moving in. Got a truck for some reason. Where are you going? I presume you come from the farm. You're in all the way over there. It's a bit of a journey. You've got to get over this, over the railway crossing. It's got a bit of a lump there perhaps, and then onto the kind of mini little highway, which has got a little bit of traffic building up, but not too much. It's kind of realistic levels of traffic, especially while we're just zoning this in still. Come over here, and we're going to just start on this bit over here so that we work towards where we're ending up rather than getting confused or anything. Nope, I knew you were going to do that, so let's demolish that. That was one where it's kind of a 90-degree road, so it was a little bit tricky to work out which way the housing was going to pop up. And I got it wrong. The road dips down with the train line behind it. Do we put in houses along here? I think we probably should. So we are getting there. Let's finish off this little section. You can see all the massive gaps that this is creating. So we will just need to come through and put all our paths in to break this zoning up so that we can put in more zoning into all the little gaps that might get created. Nope. bit here. And then we've got this little bit, and then all this chunky bit over here. Get in there, guys. Wrong. See, I guess the wrong direction. What do we think? I think it's going to go this way. Yes. That's the other thing we could do with a little kind of maybe a thicker line on the side where it tells you which direction or what road the zoning's connected to, perhaps. I know Manor Lords, for instance, has the little line with an arrowy bit in it. Maybe we could have something like that. To save that extra little bit of thinking time that you have to do in order to know which way the zoning's going. So I think that's that area done. We're bashing through it, guys. These houses possibly aren't the nicest to be living in. Right next to the entrance highway into this area. These are very close to the railway line. In fact, I think that was too close yet. Because this road runs right alongside it, so we're not going to put any on this side of the road. So we did not even have that one. But we will just put in houses all along this here. Ooh, we're losing low density demand again, which means we're finally hitting it. Finally satisfying it. Then it goes back up a little bit. But it's kind of like where the bar lies in terms of how much demand there is. I think it's kind of all relative. Where like a full low density demand is not the same as a full high density demand and stuff. And you only find out by when you start zoning stuff in what that means. Which is also a little bit confusing. If you click on this, it should like give you a score or something. Like this, how many houses are required or something. Would be good. Be able to go that there are 3,000 houses required. And there are 100 medium density houses or something. Just a little bit extra information, perhaps. Because clearly that number is based on something in order to be able to do a bar. So sharing that information would be good. Just thinking of ideas off the cuff. Done an hour and a little bit so far. Just trying to make sure that we are getting all the zoning going in the right directions. Don't want any sneaky giant buildings in here. Hopefully summer's not going to be too warm in the UK because it's going to make streaming very difficult if it is. We might end up having to play a different game other than cities if it's going to be hot. And try and melt my computer. Hopefully I can sort out a better computer at some point before then as well, so then we can have a nice super cooled computer or something. And even if we still run cities on low specs as we are, well not low specs, low settings as we are at the minute, just to try and cope with stream, then hopefully that will just mean it runs a little bit cooler. All CPUs and GPUs want to run it full tilt constantly. Just need to keep it cold. Nope, don't want a giant building, please. He's going that way. We're getting there. That's going to be along that road. Missed a little bit in here. There we go. Nope. Yeah, we're definitely keeping that demand bar down. But I think you can't really build too much low density. Especially in a city as we have at the minute. I think only the point where we get into having really rubbish what's the word? Unemployment rate, which we are going to look at in a second. And you're going to do that. Because once we put in some more commercial in these extra little areas as well as a school, then we will be good. Right, so I think we might actually be done for the very first round of putting stuff in. And we already have a fire, lovely. I got a little bit of a traffic jam, which is okay. Because we are putting in more lanes. Well, not putting in lots of houses, and obviously there's a crossing here. So hopefully that's not gonna stick around for too long. You can see we've already got issues with the crematorium and stuff, so we're gonna pop in some death care over here. I feel like a cemetery would be actually quite cute to put in. It's kind of annoying that it's decided to do that, but we're gonna pop a cemetery in here like this. And we will run a road. She's our little suburban road for the minute. We are going to run a road like this along that side there, and then we'll come into there like that. And then we will set this to be in Beach Acres. Because I'm pretty sure the other crematorium and stuff that we have over here, where is it? There it is just for these two areas. So this has got its own now. But we will also pop in our school area for over here. So it tells us how many kiddies we've got already. We've got 3,700 people living here, which isn't very many. We've got 700 already. It's lots of stuff building in, so we will find a school fits plenty of space for kids, which might just be the suburban one. Because we can combine it with a secondary school, perhaps. Build some kind of school complex, but I think maybe over here we need to put one in anyway, an elementary in. So we're gonna have that coming off this road. Maybe like this in the back. Like that in the back of here. So we can go a little mini stub, and then we will try and do this. Here we go. Just gonna align that on there, which obviously reduces that size, but is okay, and we will set this to be in here. Please and thank you. We can look at our school map. Obviously these people over here will be unhappy with that, potentially. But we will also pop in a UK secondary school on this road like this. We're going to set this to be here and there and there. And we will put in another little suburban high school behind it. Like one complex kind of thing. Maybe put it this way a little bit. It's a very British thing, probably a thing around the world, in fact, that you would have the schools very close to each other, and then when you graduate from one school, you're basically just going kind of across the road. Okay, game. Can we get this and Control H that to that, please? And then which way around do I want to do it? Grab that, grab that, grab that, grab that, grab that. Control H that all to there, please. And this road here. Very strange that it's making it all lumpy. Obviously, I didn't necessarily look at the terrain. That is fine. Isn't it probably a little bit more lumpy than I thought it was? But that little bit is fine. And then this can come into here as well. And then this has already got all its many things. So we have got a little bit of traffic starting up here, but that is mostly caused by this crossing. And once we get working proper, it'll be fine. Then for these bits here, we are gonna pop in. Probably should be away from here because it has taken up a little bit more than I would have liked. It's kind of not quite the angle I was hoping for. That'll do. And then we can put in where? Shops. Pretty sure they're in like that, aren't they? That's where I got wrong. Some shops there, and then we're going to come back over here and do the same thing. Pop in these little 3D ones. It might be fun to replace some of these with a pub on the corner or something. Try and keep it very British. And I'm going to leave that little gap there because I feel like we could put in a medium density building without causing too much hassle for ourselves. So we pop in like a little, I was going to do it like that, please. If I hadn't clicked wrong. So we have one big little medium density building there. And then come back over here again. I think we'll possibly do something similar here. What grades does this have? They're all in the building, aren't they? So we need a park at the very least. Some kind of nicely sized park that makes sense next to a school. And click off that. Yeah, it's a little bit too urban. That tab. Dog activity park. So again, is a little bit too urban for my liking. And then big plazas. Giant thingy bob, even more giant. Really small. That's a building I want to put in somewhere in the city. They're all very interesting sizes. By which I mean unhelpful. Probably going to have to be this one, which we can just about fit in there. Maybe we move it to the edge a little bit. Just to try and make a little bit more sense, perhaps. Kind of like that. A little bit annoying that we've got a kind of a little bit of a cliff here. Flatten that. Then we will use our move it again. And Control H to that, that, and that. Control H to that point there. Nope. About that, and that. Control H. That. Yeah, that's completely wrong. Why are you going so far underground? That's very silly. This terrain is wonky. Should we actually be doing the drain properly? Probably. That's the smooth tool. So we've got this funny little weird bit here now. This point here. She's going underground. And this is why I don't mess with move it. Guys. I shouldn't mess with move it. I shouldn't fiddle with it. It's okay. I'm sure autosave will have saved us. Gives my PC a little bit of a momentary rest. Oh dear. Only thing that crushes my game is move it. And me fiddling with nodes. And I told myself I was going to save, and I didn't. How are you doing, chat? Come on, autosave. Yay. Right, so we have this dodgy little node that I'm probably just going to delete. So this is where we were before, when we just started this area, so we definitely need to have it come back. So what we're going to do is we are just going to demolish this little path that I did. And what we're going to do is we're going to sort this out first. Because actually, I didn't look at the terrain here, and it is kind of slopey. So, right, you're going to touch move it again, possibly unwisely. I'm going to move the school all the way back there. And then we are going to flatten this out a bit. Because it is, again, it's really slopey. I've got a hill here. Maybe we don't do that then. Maybe we just put it back to kind of how it was. Where it's a little bit slopey dopey. And we put in some smaller parks that we then can landscape around. Because I definitely want to put in a dog park. So we will disconnect that from that. Let's not use Anarchy for this. So that's kind of as far as we can get away there. I want to find a playground. A large playground here. So we definitely want to have one of these because it's next to the school. That, and then we can kind of connect these up with some of our own paths. Which will be able to cope with the terrain a little bit better than trying to connect up to that other path that we had coming out of the bigger park. Putting in a little boundary. So we've kind of got this little shape. And we're going to put in some extra paths around this. If I clicked onto the right thing, maybe we could put a car park in here as well. Because people love parking in their cars. Don't like that end that it's put on. So we won't use that. We will use our little car park, yes. And we could put a little canopy covered one, which could be cool. And obviously this is a very much a mishmash of stuff at the minute. Could that actually be caught up in this corner? Actually thinking if we put these further away, kind of complete the opposite of what I was just trying to do. We could actually fit more stuff in here. Because I can use my little suburban street wherever it's gone. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Just worried if road builder. No, it's still there. Good. Why is it disappeared out of this menu then? Because I'm supposed to have my road buildery roads in here. Why have they not in that menu? Maybe I need to use it like this for a minute. Maybe it's related to gate crushing. And we will just have to go with the flow. It's only one way. That is the wrong road. That is why. That's the one I want. Because it is two-way. Please connect up. Thank you. So that's all a little bit wibbly wobbly. Hopefully this will be nice to me. There we go. We're going to redraw this. They got little somewhere to park, and the reason for moving those stuff back again was that we could potentially put in a sports park, like a tennis court or something, or not a gym, maybe a gym, whomever Jim is. Don't press the button when you don't mean to. That's not a gym. That's not a gym. What was? I'm getting confused now. That's the gym. That was the smaller one. Yeah. So we just put a load of these little things in here. And we can squeeze some paths between them and kind of make them feel like one cohesive thing rather than a bunch of random stuff stuck together. Move this away from the road. As I'm aware they're a bit wibbly wobbly on the ground, but I don't think that is necessarily an issue. I'm going to sort out this slope. So we don't want it sloping up there, we want it sloping up off of the junction. And it is quite a mismatch. But if at the very least we do our little kind of like desire line paths through here. And then we can put in some trees and we'll make it look lovely. I think we can fit a path. We can. I don't think we could fit a path through there, but we could. Wibbly wobbly. closer to the road. Risky. See, this is what normally happens when I get a crash again with Move It, is I just get all paranoid that it's going to crash again. I go really careful for the next part of the stream, and then I forget all about it before the next stream, and then I cause the same issues by fiddling with nodes and whatever. Because I don't learn my lesson. We get these nodes. I wish the node circles scaled with the view so that they always stayed the same size, and then as you got closer you could still access them. For instance, they would just be this big here rather than being as big as the node, presumably. But that is the thing. We can probably move that rock to the side a bit, because I don't mind that it's decided to come and say hello. And then we just mess with some of these surfaces. We can make it look a little bit more sensible. And it kind of covers up some of the slopiness too. Because really I should have just flattened this entire area, but in hindsight, but we are coping with it. We're going to make it look nice-ish. Because we're never going to look at it again either. Once we've left this area, it'll just be here. As long as we're happy with ourselves that we've done a mediocre job, then it'll all be fine. Slopey. So we will cover up some of our ugliness with some bushes and stuff. I've installed the extra little thumbnail type things, or which one came with it. So one of the mods came with needing to have the new images, and it's confusing me slightly because I don't know what the new pictures all mean. Bye bye rock. We hardly do. Thought the rock might come back again. That is a bit of a lump that we don't need. Hello again, rock. That makes more sense. This is obviously stupidly slopey. I might just ditch that completely. I think it's causing me too much headache, and it looks better without it. It was not providing happiness, just headaches. And that was an awful curve. That's better. It's really generic to be just putting brushes and stuff around the edges. But the good thing is it ties them all together a little bit. Because we can start, once we've got these basics in, we can come back and put in a load of props and stuff. Just to kind of divide these areas up into what they might be. Potentially delete out some of these brushes to put little entrances to areas and stuff. I'm really doing this because I don't want to go back to be putting all these houses into this area because it's so boring. So I'm distracting myself with a fun job, or a funnish job, creative job of doing a little bit of detailing after the excitement of crushing the game. Tempted to go around like that as well. Maybe not. Little curve, we can do that manually. So that's that. And then what I like to do is we get our brush, set it to be really small. And make sure any key is off, and we will just come in here and spam in some trees so it's a little bit random as to where they turn up. But then we will grab an oak tree. That's not an oak, that's an oak. We'll pop an oak tree in. Like that, and then in here I'm thinking, I'm just gonna save a second because again I'm now paranoid. I'm now paranoid about the game crashing, even though it's not going to, because I'm not touching Move It. So surfaces here. Yeah. Oh, the icons changed. I'm just getting confused. So this can be grass. So we're going to put in a little inset grassy area. Imagining that that is where the groundskeeper comes. You can't do the very edges though. Maybe there's an old flower bed there or something. The sound of people playing on the park is nice. They're invisible, but it's nice that they're there. So I got trees in it. It's kind of weird. Do this section over here. So what I don't want to do is cover every single green area in this park we're building with that, because I want these areas to be a little bit more usable. So what we'll do is say that there is a little kind of meeting spot here. And we will join up with the road there. down here and say there's another little join there. How many trees did we go on? 4 along. 4 bushes along. And then we'll come this way and we'll do that on this side. Like that. We can then delete out the 2 bushes in the middle. And then there's a tree that jumps out at us. So we have got it being a bit slopey, but we can work with that. And our props, which I always get confused with because of the picture of a tree. So there's a gazebo here. Or is there a fountain? It's quite nice. And then we need some little benches and stuff. Sound of people playing tennis and sleeping in their tents. Can't forget to put our trash bins in. And put that there just to tie in all those little Betty Bobs. Could we? How big is the tiniest car park? It is massive. So what we'll do is we will come back into that tab. Get our decals, maybe not decals then. Where is find it? Find it's there. There's our decals. Yes. So this is our parking lot decal. It's very large. It is all faded because it's not on flat ground. But it looking faded isn't necessarily the end of the world to me. Just looks used. And again, we're not going to stay here. We're just going to run away once this is done. But the whole point was that we were putting on some little disabled thing. Let's imagine the other ones are rubbed off. And it's just tied all a little bit together and nothing too complicated. Let us save to make sure that we are not going to lose that. Wibbly wobbly. So this has all been moved into. We now have a traffic jam down here, which is okay. Do we though stick in the British favourite of a roundabout, which means we'll lose that house down there, but that's okay. Increase the number of lanes on that. Got lots of people wanting to come down there. Maybe we do that. Give them all ways in. Get rid of those extra traffic lights. Maybe we do that. Not breaking one necessarily where I would hope it to, but it's okay. And then get rid of the extra traffic lights it puts in at the ends. And we will get rid of the crossings on the roundabout. And then we've got people doing UEs. But traffic in the city is generally good, she says, and then she looks at all the death care issues that we constantly have, even though we have designated death care for each individual area. It's just because it's so far away and they do not like it. Maybe we just need to be getting like a helicopter, a medical helicopter in. What do we think? Kind of thinking maybe we should get a hospital put in over here, because this has obviously got really rubbish coverage anyway. I wonder if just a helicopter would actually help. So what I will do is let us put in a road. How big was all this? It was 60. So we just do another 6. Like that. And we will put in a bigger hospital. A little bit. I was hoping we can have a helipad. You. Is it only the big ugly ones that have helipads? But it's so big and ugly. At least it's out of the way of the city. Desperate to open that window again. You know, since we got that extra little lane, we're going to do that. And then we will give this the extra lane there. Which gives them the extra lane to get across the crossing that way. We should give them 2 lanes to get across there anyway. An extra little lane never hurt anybody. That's all moving better anyway now. Right, let us do the next bit of our really boring task. Can't escape it any longer. Which is cutting off all this zoning so that we get extra cells. To zone into. Interesting. It was that way around. A very strange topic for a song. I always thought she said cannonball, which doesn't make much sense, but it's probably better than the alternative. This is really boring. It would be easily solved by just being able, just by not having all these zoning cells pop in if you only zone 2. I also needed to check the unemployment, so it's only at 22%, which isn't bad, but it does show that we need to put some more jobs in. You got a giant house. You cheeky bugger. We are getting a few extra little zones in here. And again, it would just be so much easier if we didn't have to do it this way. Where I could plop all the buildings in manually, now that we have the ability to do so. But I just prefer getting the zoning in, because it feels a little bit more real in terms of just gameplay than plopping all the buildings manually. And there's one thing I just enjoy doing, is just trying to play the game as vanilla as possible. snuck an extra little. I might do a few more little blocks of this and then prop in the rest of the houses in where I have made zones and then go do something else for a little bit, because this is messing with my brain. I'm not enjoying it. So I'm going to stop there doing that for the minute, and we're going to just plop in these buildings where we have now put that extra little bit of zoning in. Even these little extra bits where we have just 2 extra cells on a plot already, we can potentially just demolish the house and get them to build a bigger one just to fill in the space a bit. It is a work in progress. It's just a really boring work in progress. Good luck with that. How is the traffic? The traffic has all gone, basically. Struggling with that crossing, and maybe at some point in the future we could do something about that. What's going on there? Just having an accident. Had an accident. This crematorium always has, well, it doesn't always have, in fact. I was going to say it always has every vehicle out, but it does not. They are full up though of deceased persons. They have no deceased persons. Deceased persons. They've just got a lot of people that they're dealing with. wondering if we can demolish some of those garages and build another crematorium to handle this area, for instance. So I'm going to nosy around this area to try and see if there is somewhere we could sneak in without causing too much craziness. So I wonder what that would do. Yes, stupid. Move that way then. Like this. Like this. Just ignore the trees for a minute. And it's gonna involve getting rid of one of these. Like that. Grab that and Control H it to there. And then let's get our vegetation brush and de-vegetate it. Please. Thank you. But I don't want you going everywhere. I do just want you going in those, say. Maybe even there, just as an overflow. How many vehicles have you got? 8 out of 10. Just upgrade you fully. And I'm not going to give you a garage yet, because I'm hoping that you'll just take up some of the slack off this, so that it can process a few more bodies a bit easier. Let's close that. Doesn't like opening that. This cinema is not doing well, which is quite funny. Breaking even, apparently. But it's amusing the fact that I put a cinema in the place the cinema would exist in real life, and it's not doing very well. I want to try and sort out this terrain a little bit. Alright, it's going to be a cliff, but I kind of want it to look a little bit more natural, rather than not squarey bob. And also remove the trees. There. And we're just gonna plop in some oak trees around the edge. Make it feel a little bit more lived in. Put in specific places just to break it up a little bit. And again, this is looking very unnatural. Okay, that's better. I'm just going to take that one out. I'm gonna try demolishing some of these extra garages now. Which has surprised me that it's that one. Because I don't want it to have too many things. We'll give it the 20. Because obviously I was only keying in some far away, but it was just a bit excessive. How is our bus station doing? It is busy. Let's look at our bus lines. That's barely being used. It has a minimal amount of stuff on it. Whereas the other one is completely oversubscribed, which is kind of hilarious. I want 28 buses. Remembering that somebody last stream said about putting an airport in. Whether or not I should actually look at that in the last little bit of stream. Let's have a little look at our transport. It's 46. So we've got 80,000 trips a month out of 120,000 people. So that's pretty good. I'm glad this isn't too high. Every single taxi is still out there. But the reason for doing this is it felt like a good end to the city down here. And we could potentially do the next bit up with this and fill up that area. Just kind of trying to fill the city up a little bit. Just having a little look around to see where we could put an airport. As this is feeling very empty. You wouldn't want people flying across houses. So if we did build into this space here, we wouldn't want that. The bit over the water is fine. Really, it's kind of coming this way like this. Potentially. Press this button, it's going to jump and rotate them up for some stupid reason. But that's where the airport would go, in there. And then we would need to put a exit. An exit. Should we take advantage of this little bridgey bit? Putting a roundabout underneath. That seems like a fun idea. Which kind of means we need to get those. Which obviously we can afford. So let us plop in the airport so that we know where we're working to. And I'm going to squeeze it as close to this edge as possible. Like that. And then we will look at this, because I'm seeing a little bit of a dry riverbed there, which we could take advantage of. So put there like that. A bit lower down than I thought it would be, than it needs to be. Do we actually go along the edge of the river? I think we might do actually. So that's a little bit pointless. What we'll do, so we grab our highway, is we will take a road along the edge of this riverbed. And then kind of come up into here. somehow we have got to under here and build a roundabout. And that's probably a more sensible way of doing it rather than building into the riverbed, because then if it did flood for whatever reason, not that we have disasters in this game like that, like tsunamis or whatever, but future proofing. The columns there, so if we do this here, kind of need to get into the middle here. Let's go to 5 if we can. Perfect. Turn that off again. 5. 5. 5. And then grab our 2 lane. Build a little roundabout. Or a squircle about. Probably helps if you connect to the actual ends rather than the extra bitty bobs. And then we need to upgrade these bitty bobs. This is a bit weirder. And key that in, and we will fix it in a moment. A little bit of moving it and wiggling it, connecting to that there to make a big node. What I'm hoping is we can pop in a roundabout like this, and these little bitty bobs may need to come back out again, unfortunately, but we do have the remainder bits to help us. I want these to come into there like that. hoping that that is a separate road, yes. Perfect. Because I want these to be separate, because we're actually going to delete that roundabout in a minute. Because what we want is a big super node. Sort that out. But what I was hoping for is a big super nerdy type thing where we can put one traffic light on it and it will govern all the different directions. And then we take out that. The only caveat to that is the fact that it's possibly not got enough lanes on it. Oh, actually, no, we'll do this like that, and we'll give them the extra lane to pull off on. We'll do the same there. Actually, I like having double slip lanes. Then here we will have what are you trying to do with the lanes? We can fix that in the traffic managery thing. If it's doing something silly. No, it's because that's going the wrong way. We will upgrade that. That makes more sense. Still got that road in the middle. What are we on? 20 minutes left to be able to hook up the museum, the airport. I'm saying museum, that's really weird. Right, so traffic lane connector thing. We don't want that going up there or up there. That is just turning into the airport. You, however, can go that way, even though you're not showing it. You are not going to the right. This lane is going everywhere. You can go back on if you must. And also up there. I'm just going to remove everything because I can't really tell what's going on. So you are those ones. You go into there. And then you can go into there, but you can also go into there, there, and there. And you go into there, but you can also go into there, there, and there. And then you go into there and there. Sorted. I think this one's probably fine as it is. Yes. So very mixed up thing. Right, so can we fix these easy enough? And I was very impressed by the way that Cities 1 handles curvy lanes and Cities 1 Move It handles this stuff. Where you grab the middle bit of a road and it wibbles it. I thought that was a very simple way of managing this. But there we go. That looks nice. And then up here, I'm just gonna very quickly, we'll sort this out next time I think. I'm just going to connect this up to here. I know we'll keep it a road. Thank you. And then we are going to put in a little water tower. Not there though. Just put it there. And this then needs some sewage, so this can have its own sewage dump. It's obviously not ideal. Some more roads over here. We can at least hook it up, and then in terms of power, we are going to stick in a transformer station, and then we're going to run a power line down here. And I'm pretty sure we are absolutely fine for power. Well, that is actually the airport hooked up. Let's have a quick look at power. Ooh, I actually almost, well not actually got an extra quarter and a bit of power left from our geothermal plant. So we are actually okay. And then this is gonna have some lines put in. How many connections do we have? Do we have all 4? Thank you. So we do have all 4, which is fun. Where does airline 1 go? Truxton. Where do you go? You go to Billingham. And you are Runnymede. Or Runnymede. Runnymede. You can be green. Can I have my thing back, please? Thank you. Ugh. Did I click? And you are Mannington for men. There we go. Is anybody using it immediately? 10 people from Truxton. I'm going to nip away a very quick sec, but we will be raiding out in a little minute. About 10 minutes or so. I just really need the loop and I can't hold it. Hello again, we are back. How's this going? Anybody deciding to come? Yes. So what we'll also do now is, does this have a bus station built into it? It does not. Excusez-moi. We will plop in a bus station outside and we will grab and put in a route to our bus depot. I don't actually have any free slots, but we're just going to plop it in to one where there aren't any people waiting. I think that's our out of town one anyway. Eastgate. We'll just call it Airport Shuttle. And we'll make it a nice airporty colour. don't need 5 buses on it at the minute. Just put the 2 on. Electric ones, why not? And we will think about how we're going to use this area. Next time, I think. Do you literally just drive off the highway and back on again? I think you did. Well, all that has disappeared now, which is lovely. We were having issues, and they have all cleared up now. So that is emptied. This is now emptying. So I think that plan of having a little one in the middle just to take the strain off all the outer ones is probably a good idea. I'm also wondering whether or not these don't need quite as many hearses anymore. I'm going to leave them with the 2. That one's got 1. So yeah, I think that's probably a better thing to have done. And I've also got a castle. Where are they? They're in here, aren't they? In there. So I want to put in our castle at some point. Tourist attractions. The medieval castle. I want to do that at some point. What is... I'm going to unlock it yet. Let's unlock it next stream. It's kind of a momentous occasion type thing. Let's fix some of these little issues. So that we can not have any ugly data symbols sticking up. This area still needs a lot of work doing to it. And I may do all this annoying little path building off camera in the week because it's just such a boring, mundane job. Our little park is here. How much homelessness do we have? Homelessness 0.3, 390 people are homeless, which is sad, but we don't really have enough houses for them. But we've got up to 120,000 people now, and it doesn't seem to be falling over yet, which is lovely. But yeah, it would be very nice to get this all finished down here, and then do that little bit there. And we can get back to working in this area, but I am keen to get the actual proper keys and stuff from whatever we're going to get on the 11th of June. Even if we're not getting the full DLC anymore, we have to wait till the Q4 apparently. But we're getting keys and I want to be able to use them, and I'm very keen to build this properly out with them and use this as a little test to try and see how they work, and then whether we then need to come back and redo anything in the city is a question. But this is why I have started doing this stuff. We've got a little switch back here, which is kind of fun. To get down from up here down to the canal level. But this is why I haven't touched this episode, because of wanting to wait for that stuff to come out, and that's on the 11th, so I think we've got a couple of weeks potentially before that comes out. Yeah, so it comes out a week on Wednesday, so not next Friday but the Friday after we'll be playing with that stuff. And I am just kind of filling time now because I don't think we need to necessarily start working on anything else today, as we will be back on Sunday looking at trees in the water. We won't be looking at trees in the water. We'll be back on Sunday to do a little bit more of our one tile challenge in Cities 1 with crowd control on it, where you can send meteors and tsunamis to destroy me. But that's going quite well, really. People are being very nice, and I've just demolished a thing. Ugh. Which one is it? It's one of these. But yeah, we will be doing that on Sunday. So I do hope you come and join me. Even if I'm currently talking to myself, I hope I'm there. Because I hope I'll be playing that. I don't know where all these trees have come from. But that still looks amazing. I'm still really happy with that. I'm not sure about these little Chinese Dragon Gate buildings I put in here. I think we possibly have little leisure things that we could do instead now. But yeah, I think that is all for today, folks. I don't necessarily think there is anywhere I can raid to that I necessarily want to go with just me talking to myself. Nobody I follow is online, so it would just be finding somebody new, and I don't really want to do that if it's just me here. So I'm going to say good night, everybody. Bye bye. Love you. See you on Sunday.